It has been nearly 80 years since the pivotal Battle of Iwo Jima in World War II. The bloodiest battle in Marine Corps history. And once that battle was over, and as captured by that iconic image, those 5 Marines raised the American flag, an unassuming chaplain set out to memorialize the 7,000 American dead. After having ministered to hundreds of Marines, Jewish, Protestant, Catholic, throughout the weeks-long battle, while he himself was in grave danger, the first Jewish chaplain to ever be appointed by the Marine Corps, Rabbi Roland B. Gittleson, delivered a eulogy that is recorded in the congregational record as, and I'm quoting, second only to the Gettysburg Address of President Lincoln, as a stirring ode to the principles of democracy that are the bedrock of this country and the young men and women who paid the ultimate price for our freedom. Rabbi Gittleson's eulogy in those days, I guess you could say it went viral. It was published by Time magazine and was read by many millions of Americans across the country. And to this day, it remains part of the sacred canon of Marine Corps history. So this Shabbat of Memorial Day weekend, I'd like to share some of Rabbi Gittleson's words with you. He wrote, "This is perhaps the grimmest and surely the holiest task that we have faced since D-Day. Here before us lie the bodies of comrades and friends, men who until yesterday or last week laughed with us, joked with us, trained with us, men who were on the same ship with us, who went over the sides with us as we prepared to hit the beaches of this island, men who fought with us and feared with us. We dedicate ourselves first to live together in peace, the way they fought and are buried in war. Here lies officers and men, Negroes and whites, rich men and poor, together. Here are Protestants, Catholics, and Jews together. Here no man prefers another because of his faith or despises him because of his color. Among these men," Rabbi Gittleson wrote, "there is no discrimination, no prejudices, no hatred. Theirs is the highest and purest democracy." So this Memorial Day, we honor Rabbi Gittleson, whose legacy is thankfully preserved in American history. As, of course, we also remember the many tens of thousands of Americans who have given their lives in the history of this country to ensure our freedom and our safety. And though Memorial Day is, of course, an American holiday, it is also a very Jewish holiday. Because as we as Jews, we have no word for history. The Hebrew word for history, any Hebrew speakers in the chapel with us tonight? What's the Hebrew word for history? Historia. Historia. There's no Hebrew word for history. It comes from the English and originally the Greek. No, the Jewish word for history is zikaron, memory. Lizkor, to remember, as many of you do tonight, as you are here to say Kaddish for a loved one on their yahrzeit, which yahrzeit, by the way, is not Hebrew, it's Yiddish. The Hebrew word for yahrzeit is azkara, memorial, or time to be remembered. And as anyone who carries the memory of a loved one with them every day, as anyone who does that knows, as Jews, memory is not only central to our past, but to our present and our future as well. A Jew cannot be a Jew without memory. One of the most important obligations of a Jew after the Shoah, the Holocaust, World War II, never forget. But even since ancient times, our identity as a nation and as a people has been centered around memory. Every year at the Passover Seder, we remember when we were slaves in Egypt. The Passover Seder is not a history lesson, but it shows that each and every generation of Jews who has lived and who will ever be born It shows that memory is part of who we are. When we proclaim that we must look out for the stranger because we remember how it felt to be a stranger in the land of Egypt, we make clear that memory, that zikaron, must inform how we live today. In the words of contemporary Jewish author Jonathan Safran Foer, he says that Jews have 6 senses: touch, taste, sight, smell, hearing, and memory. While Gentiles experience and process the world through the traditional senses and use memory only as a second-order means of interpreting events, for Jews, memory is no less primary than the prick of a pin, or its silver glimmer, or the taste of the blood it pulls from the finger. The Jew is pricked by a pin and remembers other pins. It is only by tracing the pinprick back to other pinpricks, when his mother tried to fix his sleeve while his arm was still in it, when his grandfather's fingers fell asleep from stroking his great-grandfather's damp forehead, when Abraham tested the knife point to be sure that Isaac would feel no pain, that the Jew is able to know why it hurts. When a Jew encounters a pin, he asks, "What does it remember like?" End quote. And I love that. Not what does it feel like, but what does it remember like? So this Memorial Day weekend, what does it remember like to know that we are able to sit here, to pray here, because of the sacrifices made by so many brave souls? What does it remember like to know that the values of equality and freedom that we enjoy were gifted to us by those generations who came before? And what will it remember like for future generations, for our children and grandchildren, knowing that their world, their society is in our hands, is a product of the world that we create today? How committed today are we to preserving what Rabbi Gittleson witnessed so many years ago? Officers and men, Negroes and whites, rich men and poor together, Protestants, Catholics, and Jews together. He proclaimed, "Here, no man prefers another because of his faith or despises him because of his color. No discrimination, no prejudices, no hatred." How committed are we to that? This holiday of Shavuot, which as the sun sets, goes out until next year, it recalls and celebrates Zman Matan Toratenu, the giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai. But Shavuot also is not a historical holiday, because Judaism insists that the Torah was not just given thousands of years ago, but that it is given each and every day, and especially on Shavuot, because each Shavuot we can renew and receive even more Torah, even more insight from God on how to live a meaningful life, how to build a just world. The light of Revelation says Judaism did not only occur at Sinai, but we can still see it today, if only we know where to look. So this Memorial Day, let us look to those who came before, as we Jews have always done, to understand how to live, how to be in this world. May we all live up to the example that they set for us, and may the light of their lives, extinguished far too soon, guide our path forward. And then they shall never be forgotten. Shabbat Shalom.